Sarah Palin, popular governor of Alaska, was chosen as the running mate of the Republican presidential candidate, John McCain, on the 29th of the 8th, 2008 during the Republican National Convention. Before she was chosen, Palin had a degree in communication, was third place in a Miss Alaska pageant, and mayor of u.s.a, fourth largest town in Alaska with a population of 9,000.
She didn't have any of those fancy credentials. She was just an average person to the American people. But was just an average person ready to become vice president, perhaps even president of the most powerful country in the world? Before Palin was picked to be vice presidential nominee for the Republican Party, over in the Democrats, a battle of candidacy was being fought between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama.
A massive amount of mudslinging from Clinton and Obama was brought up, with issues of race, elitism and sexism all involved. Both candidates gained very strong supporters, with women and feminists supporting Clinton. Hillary dropped out of the race on the 19th of the 7th, leaving Obama unopposed.
The female supporters who were originally backing Clinton felt lost after her defeat. But they didn't want to vote for Obama due to all the negative things said about him during the battle of candidacy.
Meanwhile, over in McCain's campaign, polls indicated his support was slumping.
McCain needed to reinvigorate his campaign. He needed something to draw a sizable amount of voters. After seeing how deeply a woman candidate had divided the Democrats, the obvious decision was to pick a woman as a running mate.
McCain had met with Governor Sarah Palin only twice before, but her hardcore conservative ideals and popularity among the people of Alaska made her an ideal choice. When she was announced as the presidential running mate of John McCain at the Republican National Convention, polls dramatically increased in his favour.
Conservatives saw her as just one of the people, someone they could sit down and have a drink with. She was, for a short while, flavour of the month.
Sarah Palin's first media interview was with ABC reporter Charlie Gibson. Some topics discussed in the interview include the Bush Doctrine.
So, do you agree with the Bush Doctrine?
In what respect, Charlie?
Well, the Bush Doctrine, what do you interpret it to be?
I believe that what President Bush has attempted to do is to rid this world of Islamic extremists who are hell-bent on destroying this nation. But we have to remember there have been a few blunders along the way.
The media sources she relies on.
And when it comes to establishing your worldview, I was curious, what newspapers and magazines did you regularly read before you were chosen for this position?
I've read most of them, again with great appreciation for the press and the media.
Well, what specifically?
All of them. Any of them that have been put in front of me all of these years?
Can you name a few?
I have a vast variety of sources where we get our news. You know, Alaska isn't a foreign country where it's kind of suggested, wow, how could you keep in touch with the rest of Washington, D.C.? Well, maybe they're thinking, how could you live up there in Alaska? But believe me, Alaska is like a microcosm of America.
So it was thanks to these disastrous interviews that the people of America were finally able to get a glimpse into how incompetent Sarah Palin really is.
Polls finally shifted in favour of Obama after a few weeks of Palin at the top. It was finally realised that McCain and Palin's policies and ideals were similar to that of President George W. Bush's, who had been responsible for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, for the country's dependency on foreign oil, and had been partially responsible for the economic collapse. Sarah Palin was just too similar to the most unpopular president in American history.
It was realized that Sarah Palin was not qualified and being just one of the people was simply not good enough. A statistic emerged saying that John McCain had a 20% chance of dying while being in office. Should he die while being President of the United States, Sarah Palin would become the new president.
Americans saw these facts, and on the 4th of November, they said enough is enough, electing Barack Obama to be President of the United States. When McCain and Palin lost, there was a lot of bitter campaign officials, and they let fly with stories detailing how much of a bitch Sarah Palin was.
She got very angry at staff, thought that she was mishandled, and that there were times where she was hard to control emotionally. There's talk of temper tantrums at bad news clippings. We're told that she didn't understand that Africa was a continent rather than a country just in itself.
So what's next for Sarah Palin? Is she going to fade into obscurity, exploit her newfound fame? Or is she going to, God forbid, run for president in 2012? Well, only time can tell. But in the meantime, let's hope that we never get anybody like her in Australia.
Now I wonder what my life is gonna mean if it's gone.